I was diagnosed with an extremely rare appendiceal stage 3 cancer. 15 units of insulin 35 minutes ago, and then just pushed the chemo.
So you're getting warm, I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you look a little sleepy.
My legs feel hot. Good morning, everyone. Today we start chemotherapy, insulin potentiated chemotherapy, and I'm just really glad. Form of chemo that I hope works great. I got really good sleep last night. No coffee for me this morning. I think that's the hardest thing of all. I'm really curious to know what it's like to have insulin pushed, which is how they start this treatment. But I'll take you guys along as always. We'll see how it goes. Hope you guys are well. We'll see you in a bit. We found a place up in the mountains to do my 3-week treatment because we thought it would be healing. It was a little more expensive. Not too much more, but a little bit more. I battled with that internally. Felt like maybe I was doing something wrong, or it wasn't a good thing to spend, I don't know, 30, 40 bucks extra a night, I think it was, to be up here as opposed to a much smaller place in the valley that was more like an apartment for 3 weeks. But prayed about it, talked with my dad about it, got over my guilt because our hope and my thought was that this place would be healing and it would be peaceful and it would be life-giving, and that I'm worthy and I'm worth it. It's something I'm really struggling with again lately. Feeling worth it, feeling worth all this support, feeling worth all this treatment, feeling worth all this extra help. It's bringing up some weird stuff that I thought I covered in therapy, swear to God. Thought I covered this in therapy. That I'm good enough, there's nothing bad or wrong about me, that it's okay to be blessed and to accept that blessing, you know, and all those things. But it's my journey, it's where I'm at. And it is beautiful up here. All right, let's go get chemo. Morning, Doc.
Good morning. Okay.
All right, we're on our way to the Nevada Center. Things I'm personally most curious about. One, what will it feel like to have my port tapped into that I had surgically implanted? I get it, but I just haven't experienced it. So I'm really curious about that. Two, what does it feel like to have someone push insulin into you without any sugar to go with it? Basically, what does it feel like to have hypoglycemia induced? And then once the actual chemo starts, with the dextrose, you know, what will that transition be like as well? Anyway, things I'm curious about. We'll check back in and see how that all goes. My first day at the Nevada Center, while being wonderful, wasn't the easiest to film, and that's okay. I was asked to keep the camera very much focused specifically on myself and kind of hidden and out of the way. This is something that changes the longer I'm at the center. I'm able to get more and more dynamic and very high quality footage.
So your first 15 minutes is over. How are you feeling? Anything different?
Maybe a little different, but it's hard to tell.
Okay.
Most people get there in 15 IUs. Is it?
Total of 30.
30 is the max.
Yeah, no, it's usually, I mean, on the first day, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
But I'm giving it up to 45 minutes, and if in 45 minutes nothing happens, I will give you more insulin.
Well, I trust you guys.
Trust Dr. Schellenberger, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he sure does.
He's a man. How are you feeling?
Feeling a little something.
What does it feel like?
A little lightheaded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Start it. He's lightheaded, Lucy. Good. Keep going. We're going to push him for a while.
So sometimes you'll feel that little glistening. Sometimes you'll have some visual changes.
I can like notice my heart. Boom, boom.
Okay.
I can feel it more.
His head is still on, so when he throws it over, I'll know that he's getting it.
I feel like a lab rat.
Yeah, the experimental lab rat.
I feel sweaty. I don't know if I look sweaty, but
That visual. Yeah.
oh yeah. So you've seen how many of these?
I forget to count them.
Thousands.
I don't know.
Thousands.
So, with the chemo, you may taste it. Some people taste it or smell it.
Okay.
I don't want you to freak out. Just breathe in your belly really slowly, okay, when I will give it to you.
Oh.
Not yet, but just preparing you. It may be like nasty paint taste kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the hat is off.
Finally.
Are you hot?
Mm-hmm.
Can you grab a towel?
So sometimes people will have like their t-shirt on during, and then after they'll go change into a nice clean one because this one's gonna be all soaking wet, and then you're gonna be cold.
Yeah, I can taste something. Almost tasted like in hospital saline.
It's what?
We're zapping those suckers now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
No sleeping yet.
No sleeping.
Going to bathroom yet.
Okay.
If you have some juice for him that has a sugar, you can make it ready. Hang in there, okay?
Okay.
Your hands are still cold. Oh yeah, you're colder up to here now.
You've got this.
Yeah.
You're kicking cancer's butt right now. You got it.
To keep it here.
Vital organs, everything else shutting down.
I'm gonna make sure I get that text so
Oh,
you guys don't get a
Just
huge
got
bill. Oh, cool.
You're gonna have some juice soon. She's got the box ready.
All good. Oh, sweating's fine.
Okay.
My legs feel warm. I can tell that I'm thinking slower.
What are you doing, Noah?
A little bit of insulin potentiated chemotherapy.
But you're dripping sweat and you're not working out.
The 15 units of insulin
I already did it. Okay, thank you.
35 minutes ago, and then just pushed the chemo.
Okay. And you're like dripping sweat and your blood sugars are probably still dropping. So you're getting warm, I hear. Yeah. You look a little sleepy.
My legs feel hot.
You need it.
Yeah, I almost feel like I'm feeling better now already. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe this is a good thing for us because we're learning about you. So maybe we will hit you with 20 units next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I already feel like I'm swinging back in the normal direction.
And I didn't give you any sugar yet.
Yeah. Is it too late to give me 5 more units of insulin?
Yeah,
Yes.
we'll not do it today.
After 45 minutes, it was finally time to eat. They gave me dextrose. They encouraged me to eat my snacks. They gave me lots of fluids, antibiotics, and they started doing this ozone treatment you're seeing, which we are going to explain in more detail when we get back home and kind of break down everything we were experiencing. I started to feel much better very, very quickly once I started to eat. It was a crazy experience. This is them flushing out my port and getting ready to disconnect me. And then we're going to head home and we're going to go over everything we just experienced. First day done. Woo! We'll do a breakdown back at the house. All right, guys. First day of insulin potentiated chemotherapy is in the books. It is evening time. We're home about 3:30. We just want to reflect, debrief. I'll tell you what I think happened. You, Doc, can jump in and share what he witnessed, what he's learned, and you guys know the deal. We'll do our best just to give you an honest impression of what this day was like for this alternative chemotherapy option.
So for me, as an observer of this day, we really didn't know what to expect. I mean, we walked into an IV infusion room and they brought out a little IV pole, and this is going to be your Christmas tree or your dance partner. And hanging from it were 3 bags. Then came another one, and then they're adding things to these bags. Thankfully, they did explain what was going to happen, which in brief was, I think they started with an ozonated vitamin C infusion.
50 grams.
Right. Then they followed that with the insulin infusion.
30 minutes later, yes.
Yeah, and so that was actually a push of
15 units.
15 units, thank you, Dr. Noah. Push of 15 units of insulin, which they then, this was the part that neither of us had an idea what was going to happen when you were given insulin. So jump in, describe, we'll carry on from there, but that was something to watch. I want to hear how it was from your perspective.
Yeah, you know, anytime someone tells me to look out for this or that from a physical response perspective, I become very hyper aware of my body. Luckily, I was more curious than fearful, I think. I certainly felt some nerves about that. Because she kept using language like, we want you to be miserable. We want you to be as uncomfortable as possible. I'm trying to remember what other words she used, but something to the effect of,
I want you to feel really
bad. That's probably what she said. And so I'm hearing her say this. I'm just like, I wonder what that actually looks like for her. But as far as when she pushed the 15 IUs, I wish I could have filmed in great detail the whole thing, but I'm thankful that they were willing to let us film at all. I felt, the first thing I thought I noticed was that my head got heavy. So I thought I noticed a slight heaviness to my head and then a slowness to my thoughts. Just like suddenly I am thinking a little bit slow.
Yeah.
I could tell in my head before even speaking. I wonder if you noticed this, but I think I got more quiet.
Oh, you did.
I did. Okay, cool. And then last thing I'll say.
He's a talkative guy and he wasn't starting conversations.
No, I got pretty quiet. I really wanted to push as far as I could because from my early and my lay understanding of this treatment, the lower my blood sugar in that scenario, the better and more effective my chemotherapy agents can be that are pushed after.
Correct.
As far as my cancer being the most receptive to chemotherapy. So the last thing I'll say before you jump in is that I felt my legs get very warm, like a tingly, burny, the equivalent feeling that most people might be able to relate to if you were to say, go to the gym, start warming up, and then it's like, ooh, shit, I need to get these warm-ups off, or I need to get my sweatshirt off or my sweatpants off, time to be in my shorts. That feeling, but elevated. And then lastly, I could just physically feel my body sweating.
And you're like dripping sweat and your blood sugars are probably still dropping. So you're getting warm, I hear. Yeah. And you look a little sleepy.
My legs feel hot.
Yeah?
You could feel perspiration.
So watching this, and the nurses, they had, I think, all three of them watching it.
Oh yeah, they're just all staring at me.
They're just
like this.
like, he's the subject, and we're going to see what this is going to do.
Yeah.
Because going forward, they now know what to do. They know how much his body can tolerate. They're actually going to go up another 5 units next time and actually let him get in a little more distress before they bail and give the chemo. So anyway, 15 minutes in, you're fine.
Yeah, I felt literally
absolutely fine. And they're like, really? You don't feel anything? He's going, no. By the time we got another 50 minutes in, and they were willing to go 45 if necessary.
They ended up going 35 maybe?
They went 35, but by the time you got to 35, so I'm sitting next to you just like we are now, and this hand was right where I could touch it. It was strangely pink, but ice cold, like no circulation. And the nurse pointed out, yeah, the body is compensating by sending the circulation to the brain and the vital organs. Because he's going down, right? Your blood sugar gets so low.
Right.
Your vital functions, your brain needs glucose. I mean, we know ketones work too.
Sure.
But in this case, the insulin has intentionally severely lowered the glucose. But then what shocked me was as you started to you ripped your hat off eventually. They said he's still wearing his hat. He's not low enough.
And you know what? I wanted to jump in. I didn't want to do the things they said I would do before I felt like doing the things.
You hung in there.
Well, because it's like otherwise, is there any psychosomatic energy going on
You
here?
hung in great.
I tried.
You're like, not much is happening. And finally, by the time you ripped off your hat, you had beads of sweat dripping down your face. And then I was feeling your forearm was cold. I was like, whoa. I've never known anybody to get their forearm go cold. So you still processed things okay.
Yeah, I thought
they kept saying you're going to get foggy and you probably won't remember who we are, or, who's around you, and you never got that bad, which is why they're going to push you a little harder.
Well, because pardon the interruption, I actually felt a noticeable rebound before anything had happened. I felt myself get to my lowest point, but then kind of come out of it before even the dextrose had started. Maybe the chemo had started at that point.
Yeah. So he's at that stage where, clearly I'm thinking, they're not going to push him much longer. I mean, he's just dripping sweat and is up to his elbow. He's got
the nurse came up to me and started
patting you down.
my head,
So then they get the chemo agents, and those were pushes, right?
Quick pushes. Two of them. There was...
one of them's a platinum and the other one is something else.
The two chemo agents that we specifically used were selected by Dr. Schallenberger based on my RGCC blood work results, which were
specifically, let's just say, analyzed and tested to find what would be most useful for me.
For your cancer cells.
For my cancer cells. To be fair, the primary one is the primary chemo agent in colon cancer traditional chemotherapy protocols.
Yep.
And then the second one is not. The second one was my next most valuable agent, as opposed to what traditional protocols would have had me at like a 50 or 60% toxicity rate. My second one was also at 80% toxicity. So I got one at 82, one at 80 in this potentiated delivery system.
Yep. So after they push in the chemo, then there's fluids, right? It was just a saline flush to get that in.
Yes, and then a 10-minute timer.
Then
I think.
Still no glucose.
Still no glucose.
And a 10-minute timer to allow the chemo to get throughout the body.
Right.
Before they gave you your glucose infusion.
5% dextrose.
Yep.
I don't really know what that means.
In the past, they used to do D50, which is a 50%, and they found that that's just unnecessary, too much sugar load. This is a good process, and it makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense to me too.
So then you got your dextrose solution, and then you got more... you got a bag of nutrients that had B vitamins, more vitamin C.
More vitamin C, electrolytes, I think.
Yep, electrolytes. And then you got your ozonated... I forget what they actually called that.
Are you talking about the end?
Yeah.
So we're skipping something.
What are we skipping?
When we first sat down, they brought 2 huge syringes and sat them right next to me at my station. And I believe they were antibiotics of sorts.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
So there were 2 antibiotics that were also given. And their explanation for that was that they found the antibiotics are actually helpful in the detox process post-chemo and anti-inflammatory, I believe.
I think so.
Anyway.
But those were meant to help mitigate, I think, side effects of the chemo agents, which are poison.
Yeah. Well, it was, for the curious ones, it was... I believe it was methotrexate and ceftriaxone, which is also known as Rocephin. Very good coverage, by the way, if by chance, and they were so careful with your port.
Yeah, they were incredible.
But, you know, there's a lot of attaching of different things, and if by chance there was any contamination, those 2 antibiotics would totally take care of it.
Got it.
So I think in that sense, it adds another measure of safety when you're doing things IV.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about this, but I was a little nervous about the port. I was told, of course, that if I'm doing chemotherapy, insulin potentiated, traditional, metronomic, that a port would be really, really useful, really, really convenient. But it seemed kind of intense when I watched like little videos about the port, because it looks like the thing going into the implant is like a nail. It doesn't look like a little needle like maybe when you're doing a traditional IV, at least to me. And so they sprayed what I could only describe as like a fire extinguisher, a mini fire extinguisher.
Deep freeze.
A deep freeze, something you might see on a wart or something. Shh, they sprayed me down, and then 1, 2, 3, pop, they pushed it in, and I kind of felt it like penetrate this thing under my skin, right? I thought that was mostly okay, and for whatever it's worth, I did find myself really grateful to be doing all of the 4 or 5 hours of being plugged in with the port. Right. One of the benefits was that I could quickly be unplugged, completely be free, and get up and use the bathroom. Yeah. That was wonderful. And secondly, my arms were free. I have been doing vitamin C infusions at the clinic looking after me in Portland, and depending on how it's put in or whatever, you move your arm a certain way, it can just hurt. You feel a little zing, a little sting. So I thought the port was actually fairly convenient, and I really appreciated how thorough they were about making sure it was sanitary. They sanitized it. She even encouraged me to turn my head. I don't need you breathing down on the port. Yep. That's actually something I saw in the tutorial video that I watched. And to button up the port thing, my surgeon said the number 1, number 2, and number 3 concern with having a port is infection. So I definitely think we had a very thorough group of people, because he was telling me, my surgeon that is, to advocate for myself if they aren't hygienic.
Sure didn't need to. They were on the top of this. So they winded up with taking some of your blood, again, through your port.
Well, I ate.
Oh, you got to eat.
I got to eat.
Oh, yeah, you were so excited to eat.
It reminded me of eating while intoxicated. A little bit, where I'm just a little out of it,
Yeah.
but food tastes
so
good. That's what it felt like.
That's
Quite
funny.
frankly, they gave me my apple juice. Unless I'm having a cheat meal, I don't drink juice or soda or anything
Right.
like that. So that sugar from that little box of
Right.
apple juice was like, whoa. And then we had my little snacks, and the food tastes wonderful. I felt myself feeling better. It was a wonderful
Yeah,
experience.
we're gonna pack more food next
For
time.
sure. I thought I was eating post-treatment. So
Yeah.
I thought around 2 or 3
Right.
I'd eat my snacks. So
Yeah.
anyway, now getting into the last thing for the day.
Right. So we're going to share more on ozone therapy
As we learn more.
Yeah, as we learn more and as we go forward. But they were taking his blood through the port, taking it through a machine that
Yeah.
ozonates the blood. And right?
Yes, which ozonates the blood, which is to add O3.
Ozone is O3. Oxygen is O2.
Right.
A
I don't
sing-
know what that means.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Not
it's
fun.
chemistry.
I just don't understand the deep nuance of it. I believe Dr. Schellenberger that it's good for me, and I'll learn more about it as we go.
Yeah. Ozone, O3. So we all need oxygen. Oxygen is what keeps us alive.
Right.
Oxygen is what feeds the mitochondria, which gives you energy, which gives you life.
Yeah.
And which gives you, a robust, healthy everything.
Yeah.
Ozone, being O3, has an extra oxygen molecule that is relatively unstable. That's why you can't store ozone for a long period of time.
Oh, okay.
It just goes back to oxygen and water.
Oh.
So they ozonate it right on the spot.
Right.
Get it into your blood, and I think I was reading it might only be 2% of that oxygen is released.
Oh, wow.
Right, but because it's ozone, it's immediately available. So it's a very effective way of giving mitochondria the oxygen support they need for making ATP, which is energy.
Right.
We'll learn more, but it's a fascinating and exciting way
Yeah,
of really boosting your health.
The potential benefits of ozone therapy are antimicrobial effects, kills bacteria, viruses, anti-inflammatory and pain relief effects, immune system modulation, improved oxygen utilization, and potential cancer support. Some practitioners believe it creates oxidative stress that selectively harms cancer cells while boosting the function of normal cells in the body. One of the things that has very much drawn me to this type of therapy, that I'm so thankful to have the opportunity to try right now, let's just say first, before traditional therapy, not to poo-poo traditional therapy. I really want to improve the discussion about these things in a respectful way. But one of the things that I'm drawn to about these sort of treatments, particularly from, and this might be my own ego, from MDs who have become holistic oncology providers with a traditional medical background, I find that very comforting because they literally went to med school like all of you did, and then they learned more over their career. They got further credentialed, and they've decided that there might be a better way. But one of the things that seems to be very, very consistent is that they want to maximize the toxicity of chemo, of the agents we're using that are clearly very potent for cancer, while also supporting the body and the natural functions of the immune system and the mitochondria and the detoxing process and the normal healthy cells, I guess is what I'm trying to say, in conjunction with. Something we discussed here on the way home was that one of the things about traditional chemo, and I don't think it's universally this way, I'm sure there are some protocols to support immune system, but not that were discussed with us by our oncologist that we were connected with via my state insurance. But one of the things about chemotherapy that we've talked about is that they give you a huge, huge dose of a very poisonous substance. And you're teaching me, I'm learning that it doesn't differentiate. It doesn't pick favorites with where it goes. It's going to hit healthy cells and unhealthy cells. And then there's no talk about, hey, now let's get you detoxed. Let's get you clear
Tomorrow
out.
you're going to get some detox.
Tomorrow we're going to be doing detox, and tomorrow they want it in my system, but then they need to get it out of my system to protect the rest of me so they can minimize things like neuropathy, so they can minimize things like nausea or potential hunger issues. I'll leave it there because I'm just learning about this, but when it comes to what draws me to these sort of treatments, things like that and the support of medical experts saying it's okay to try this, it resonates with me. It speaks to my soul.
Yeah. So mainstream maximal dose therapy maximum tolerated dose is what they call an MTD. It's going to hit the rapidly dividing cells. So we know cancer cells in particular are kind of rogue in that they're rapidly dividing, but we have other cells in our body that are rapidly dividing. The hair follicles, so many chemo patients lose their hair. The lining of your intestines, so you have trouble with GI and absorbing nutrients and food, etc. And your white blood cells, which is your immune system, your ability to fight infection, your ability to fight cancer, gets shut down with some of the maximum tolerated dose chemo agents. So this is a way of getting a maximal dose to the cancer, but protecting the rest of your rapidly dividing cells, and all your cells for that matter, from most of the toxicity. So it went well. I was impressed with how you handled it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm well supported. Yeah, it did go really well. And we're thankful for you guys. I'm thankful for you. This is the route that I have taken. This is what I think is best for me at this time. And we 100% respectfully understand that some of you don't think this is the best route, and that's okay. And some of you are very much thinking that traditional routes are the way to go, and that's okay. I'm not even entirely sure that I disagree, but this is what seems to feel best for me right now based on the wonderful medical advice we're given. I don't think either of us are anti-mainstream. I think we're very pro-safe medicine. I think we're pro-safe treatment, and I certainly think we're pro-people doing what they think is best for them when their life is on the line. So this is what I think is best for me, but I share that with as much humility as can be expressed in a self-created YouTube channel. And I'm just excited to share the information for what it is, not to encourage anyone to do anything, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Everything here is take it or leave it, right? This is totally just information. Nothing to imply that you should do this or not do that.
Absolutely not.
This is just information in his journey, our journey, but mostly his. And I will say, if you're looking at all the things we're doing, and you're going, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're even coming up to that point where we're going, okay, even though we've raised this much money, it's not gonna last. It's not gonna cover. So what does a person do when they've found resources that they want to pursue, but they don't have the funds? You prioritize.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that out.
We are figuring that out. And I remember as a pediatrician, I'm retired now, but back when I was caring for especially the severe cases of autism, I mean, kids who were nonverbal and severely harmed really, or struggling, let's just put it that way. The testing that could be done could be in the thousands. The supplements was going to be in the hundreds per month in some cases. And other options were thousands and thousands of dollars, and most of my patients did not have that kind of income. So it was a matter of prioritizing for them. I was just talking with a good friend who's undergoing a cancer journey today, and you know, it was like, well, let's at least prioritize so you do something.
Yeah.
This friend was in a state of just sort of, I don't know what to do, right? Sort of hopelessness, not feeling like the resources were there. And I said, well, what we've learned is at least do this, this, and this, right? And so as you watch this journey, we'll be able to start saying that from our experience for this kind of scenario and situation, it totally seems to make sense to do this and this and this.
From a functionality to cost perspective.
Exactly. What's the bang for your buck? And likelihood it's going to be highly effective or safe and effective, hopefully, and something you can pull off financially, because it makes no sense at all to be entertaining treatment modalities that are tens of thousands of dollars when you have no more than 5,000 or less to put towards your journey. You need other very important things with that money.
And we're going to, thank you, wonderfully said, the ability to kind of mix and match and try different things is a result of the fundraising. Yeah. And I'm so grateful. I understand this is not normal. It is not normal to have an audience and the support system I have to fundraise. So I don't take that lightly. And I think that's why our commitment is to give it all back for now as just pure information. Here's what we're learning. And then my dream is to give it all back in really functional, fundamental, and free information that's more curated towards what we, as he just described, think might be a hierarchy of effectiveness versus cost. So that's something that's deep in our hearts. We've been talking about nonprofits, but I need to get better first.
Yeah.
I need to stay here, and we're going to be taking you along this journey with markers and blood work. It's not going to be an anecdotal experience. Well, this is an anecdotal experience, but my markers are set data points. We're going to see if this goes as well as I think it can, and we're going to be open and honest if it doesn't, and we'll see what we do from there. So just know that we are thinking of you. We are appreciating you. I am still appreciating the kindness and the prayers. I'm doing my best to share this journey with as much grace as I possibly can. And I know a lot of you are suffering, and I really do acknowledge that. I don't take my opportunity to get better and get this extra support for granted. And I hope something you hear here, see here, feel here, impacts you and makes you want to come back and spend time with us, and gives you just a little bit of hope, because you guys certainly offer a lot. So.
Yep.
Anything else on your mind?
Well, the thought occurred to me that you've already shared early on in your journey that you consulted with Dr. Makis.
Yes.
He has a Substack that, if you're on a cancer journey, it is absolutely worth subscribing to.
100%.
Because...
we'll put the link in the description for Dr. Makis. It's just a medication repurposed protocol.
It's a repurposed protocol that's affordable and doable while you're figuring out what else you're going to do.
Yeah, so, we should make a separate video about that.
Absolutely.
We'll put that in there too. Forgive me, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I just thought...
What can we give away now?
We teased that we're going to try to help you figure out...
And then we didn't say anything.
We didn't say anything, so I thought... That's sort of become clear.
Yeah.
In the early part of the journey, that at least gave you something to do while you were waiting. You didn't have an oncology appointment for a month.
Yeah.
You didn't have the RGCC, which is expensive, but we were still waiting for those results.
Right.
So while you're waiting, what do? Well, you can at least
look into
what Dr. Makis is suggesting.
Yep, it's repurposed medication. I've been on it. We still haven't made a video about it, so we'll do that at some point really soon. But just know that the info's there. Ivermectin, fenbendazole or mebendazole, CBD oil, high-dose melatonin. Those are the key things for me, and it seems to be pretty standard for most who have aggressive cancer, like me. Look into it. You might find some hope there. It's just a thought. It's a great thought, and it's an instant resource, and it is not expensive in the scheme of expense, as far as I can tell. Last thing I'll say, we'll check in later or tomorrow. They did say that if I was going to experience any difficulty or side effects from the chemo, it would probably be today, and it might be tonight in the form of maybe some nausea, maybe some fatigue, maybe some brain fog. Is there anything else they said? I don't think so.
No, I mean, supposedly your blood sugar can still drop.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
That's not going to happen. You've eaten well, and we're going to eat another great dinner. So.
Yeah. If you can, be oh so nice and respectful in the comments below, no matter what camp you're in. That would mean the world to me and to others who are just doing their best in this life. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you, everybody.
Adios. Good job, man.
7 p.m. Body's feeling okay. There's a rec center locally to where we're staying. And I think I'm going to go spend 45 minutes just moving my body, breathing, stretching, just doing something to occupy time that I enjoy. So let's go to the gym. Let's goof around. Let's have a little bit of fun. Great workout, thankful, and my body seems to have responded really well to my first chemo treatment at the Nevada Center. Very thankful. Time to get home, get some rest. Thank you, sir. And get ready for tomorrow. Tomorrow we have 10 cycles or 10 rounds of ozone therapy. I look forward to learning more about that. And then we have a colonic, which, if I'm understanding correctly, is to clear out, well, my colon, but it's to help my liver and my gallbladder detox from the chemotherapy. Thank you guys for being here and supporting me. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys later. Hope you're well.